Welcome to the Long COVID podcast with me, Jackie Baxter. I am really excited to bring you today's episode. Please do check out the links in the show notes where you can find the podcast website, social media and support group, as well as a link to buy me a coffee if you are able. You should not rely on any medical information contained in this podcast and related materials in making medical, health-related or other decisions. Please do consult a doctor or other health professional. I love to hear from you. If you've got any suggestions or feedback or just want to say hey, then please do get in touch. I really hope you enjoy this episode, so here we go. Hello and welcome back to this episode of the Long COVID podcast. Today I'm going to talk about something that almost everyone in recovery bumps into, sometimes daily, and that is overwhelm. Overwhelm can feel like your whole system suddenly says too much. It could feel like too much sensation. It could feel like too much noise. Too many decisions, too many feelings, too much uncertainty. And often it builds up over time, or it can come on more suddenly. And of course, sometimes it does build up over time and we either ignore it consciously or we don't notice it unconsciously. And if you are recovering from long COVID, ME/CFS, or any post-viral condition or health challenge, overwhelm isn't a character flaw. It's a nervous system response, a physical body response. It's not in your head. It's not something you deliberately did wrong. It is your body trying to protect you, even if it doesn't feel like it right now. So in this short episode today, I want to explore what overwhelm actually is, why it shows up so quickly in recovery, how we can work to avoid it, and some gentle, practical ways to meet it when it does show up. So my hope is that you leave this episode feeling less alone, less confused by your own reactions, and more equipped with tools that genuinely help. So, what is overwhelm? Overwhelm is not a mindset. It's not you being dramatic. It's not you failing to cope. Overwhelm is a capacity issue. Your nervous system, my nervous system, everyone else's nervous system has a certain bandwidth. And in each person, in each moment, that's individual. And in long COVID or ME/CFS, that bandwidth is often reduced. Not permanently, not irreversibly, but for now, your system has less space to process input. So things that used to feel natural, a conversation, a decision, a noise, an activity, can suddenly feel like too much. When your system starts to reach its limit, it moves into that danger state, what we might call fight-flight. That might look like irritability, brain fog, panic, a need to escape, crying for quote-unquote no reason, or just feeling like everything is happening too fast. And then as the system hits its limit, it moves into a protective state, what we call shutdown, which might look like the body shutting down, disconnecting from your own body, feeling frozen and stuck, having no energy, being unable to connect with others, avoidance, and our body processes it feeling like they're shutting down or going slow. So when the body can't handle any more, it tips over into this overwhelm or shutdown state and shuts us down into this immobilization or what we call dorsal vagal nervous system state. This is a physiological state. This is your body saying, I can't take in any more information right now. And that's not a failure. It's communication. It's our body giving us a message. So why does overwhelm happen in recovery? There are a few reasons why overwhelm is so common here. So your system is already working really hard. Managing symptoms, regulating energy, processing uncertainty. All of that uses capacity. Things like poor breathing, which is very common here, also causes our system to work inefficiently. So we may be working way harder than we need to. When the nervous system feels unsafe, our unconscious tasks in our body, such as digestion, don't work as smoothly. So we're working hard just to exist. Your threat detection system is more sensitive. So after illness or trauma, the nervous system doesn't feel safe. It becomes quicker to interpret things as danger. The body feels more unsafe more of the time, spending more time in a fight-flight response, which means we're already way closer to that overwhelm. Again, it's not because you're weak, but because your system is trying to keep you safe. You're also often juggling invisible tasks. Planning rest, pacing, monitoring symptoms, navigating appointments, managing expectations. You feel the need to explain yourself to others, which can be hard and uncomfortable. You often have to advocate for yourselves and have those extra conversations. Things aren't necessarily straightforward in the way that they may have felt before you became unwell, and it's a lot. And then recovery itself is emotional. Hope, fear, grief, frustration, longing. These all take up emotional space. And we often struggle to process these emotions because they can feel uncomfortable. And we tend to disconnect from our body rather than lean in. This can cause emotions to become stuck rather than moving them through the body, which contributes to this overwhelm. So again, overwhelm isn't a sign that you're going backwards. It's a sign that your nervous system needs support, that your needs are not being met. So how can we work to avoid overwhelm? I often talk about awareness being the first step, because if we start to notice that things are building up, then we can take steps to intervene, to reduce that load a little. If we don't notice, then it can feel like overwhelm hits out of nowhere, and then it can take you out. So taking time to check in with your body is an incredibly powerful tool. Making sure to check in from a place of curiosity rather than panic or fear. And if you do notice that you're starting to feel on edge, unsettled, unsafe, maybe you're starting to feel uncomfortable, discomfort is increasing, things are building up, and you're starting to experience symptoms of fight-flight, that is the time to give yourself space. So pausing, taking a few deep breaths, sensory grounding, anything that helps you to feel a little bit like you're taking a pause, a little bit safer. It might be a micro pause. Often that's enough. Or you may have time to stop and do a longer breath practice, for example. The important thing is to notice and to send your body those signals of safety. If we do this, then the escalation stops and the system doesn't get to the point where it's totally overwhelmed and shuts down. It involves finding the practices that help you in those moments, and then practice a practice of awareness, and then of intervening. Sometimes it'll work, sometimes it won't. But with practice, it gets a lot easier. We start to know intuitively what we need. So in that moment of overwhelm, so you do become overwhelmed. Sometimes it happens. It's not your fault. You didn't do it deliberately. It's part of the process, and learning to treat yourself kindly in that moment will serve you well in recovery and beyond. So here are some gentle, practical tools that you can use when that overwhelm hits. Think of them as ways to give your system a little bit more room, a little bit more space. So number one, name what's happening. Even something simple like saying, I'm feeling overwhelmed. My system is overloaded. This feels like too much for me right now. Putting a name on it reduces the internal pressure to push through. Number two, orient to the environment. So let your eyes land on three things around you: a colour, a shape, a texture. You could reach out and touch them. This tells your nervous system, we're here, we're safe enough. Number three, reducing input. So you don't need to solve everything. We just want to reduce. So it might be turning down the lights if they're very bright, or removing yourself from your screen. Step into another room. Pausing a conversation that's challenging. Close your eyes. Put your phone down. Sit down or lie down. This isn't avoidance. It's regulation. It's giving ourselves what we need. Number four, use a micropause. So I mentioned this already. One soft breath out, not a deep breath. It might be a longer exhale. It might be just paying attention to your breath, connecting with your diaphragm. This signals safety. The breath is a super effective way of giving our body those signals of safety. Number five, bring in one point of contact. It might be placing a hand on your chest, your belly, your collarbone, feeling the warmth, feeling the pressure, letting your body know that you're here, connecting in this moment. Number six, shrink the moment. Overwhelm often comes from the sense that everything is happening at once. So it might be a case of saying, just this moment, just this next step. I don't need to do everything. I just need to do the next tiny thing. What is one thing I can do right now that will help? What is one thing? And then number seven, step away from the problem-solving brain. So when we're overwhelmed, the brain will try to fix, will try to analyse, try to catastrophise. All of these things are probably things that you are familiar with. And none of them in this moment are helpful. So we can say, not now. First we regulate, then we think. So it's important to return to safety first, and then our cognition will start to come back online. Important, return to safety first. So what helps longer term? Because we've talked so far about why, what overwhelm is, why it happens. We've talked about how to start avoiding it. We've talked about what to do when it happens. But how do we start to make longer term changes? So overwhelm becomes less intense and less frequent when your system feels safer overall.
So working to keep noticing with curiosity, continue to calm the nervous system in the moment. And over time, it will start to stick. So it's a process. It takes time and it takes consistent effort, but it will help and it will start to become easier. But it's that consistency that's so important. Finding what helps to calm the system, noticing when you need to do it, and doing it consistently. So some things that may help to support this. Pacing. So giving your system predictable rest and not pushing beyond capacity. Saving energy for healing. Doing things when you have capacity, but allowing yourself that rest when you don't. Boundaries. Reducing unnecessary demands. Ruthlessly put yourself and your healing first. You might believe it's selfish, but remember the analogy of the oxygen mask. Put your own oxygen mask on before helping others. Co-regulation. Being around people who feel safe, who make you feel safe, who allow you to be you, who don't put unnecessary expectations on you. People who make you feel safe. And then meeting sensations with curiosity rather than fear and panic. So things like somatic tracking or mindful practices can be really helpful here. Micro moments of joy. So it could be tiny sparks that widen capacity. What tiny little thing gives you the littlest ghost of a smile? My favourite, letting go of perfection. Good enough is enough. And reducing internal pressure. So especially the shoulds. What are you putting that extra pressure on yourself? And is there a way to ease that? A lot of it may be stuff that you're not even aware of. And I did an episode recently with Amy Davis, who we talked specifically about this internal pressure. And I found it really enlightening. So that may be helpful. Recovery isn't about being perfect. It isn't about getting everything right. It's about listening and it's about learning. It's about recognizing overwhelm early and responding with kindness instead of force. And it is a process. So if you're experiencing overwhelm right now, or if it's been a frequent visitor lately, I want you to know this. Your system is doing its best with the capacity it has. And as capacity grows, slowly, gently, quietly, when we stop fighting ourselves and we start listening, being kinder to ourselves and meeting our needs, this is when we start to see a shift. So as we learn, as we start to experience more practices that help, we start to get better at listening, better at judging what we can do and what we can't do in the moment, staying open to things changing, but trying to be with ourselves in the moment. So in the show notes today, I've linked the episodes that I mentioned earlier and a few free tracks that might help in moments of struggle or overwhelm. You can use them when you need them. Maybe add them to your list of tools if they're helpful. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening and for caring for yourself in the best ways that you can. I'm sending you softness, space, and a little more room inside your day. Take care, and I will see you next time.
Thank you so much to all of my guests, and to you for listening. I hope you've enjoyed it, or at least found it useful. The Long COVID podcast is entirely self-produced and self-funded. I'm doing all of this myself. If you're able to, please go to buymeacoffee.com/longcovidpod to help me cover the costs of hosting the podcast. Please look out for the next episode of the Long COVID podcast. It's available on all the usual podcast hosting things. And do get in touch. I'd love to hear from you.